All right. Well, hello everybody. Welcome to this very, very cozy live stream. I've got a fire behind me. It's partially in honor, of course, of my colleague Justin Hunt, who always has the video fireplace. But I'm here in Rochester, New York, not in Los Angeles, so I want to have the actual real thing up here for you. I've got some green tea. I would be wearing a cardigan, but that fire's pretty effective. You might see Bo and Toby, and I just want to talk about the end of the year. So if you don't know, since 2019, I think, I've been doing these end of the year celebrations. The Stampies is what I call them. I call them Stampies because I call my favorite songs on an album a stamp. So I'm like, these are the things that I like. So it's my stamp. I've had multiple different versions of stamps. So the first year, my daughter made a potato stamp, but she didn't know to have it reversed. So it said mats. And she couldn't fit the P on there. So that was the first one. Anyone who's been here for a long time. Yes, we're actually live for someone who's asking. And the other one was I actually had one that said the word Stampy. And I thought that was kind of funny. But what I've done now is I've made a new one by Genesee Stamps, and it says Pechat, which is the Serbo-Croatian word for stamp. And if you are from Serbo-Croatia, you know there's a very funny meme connected to this word, and I am going to eventually do something on that meme. So we're going to see who is going to get the stamps. And I'm going to do a whole year-end thing with my album of the year and my song of the year in non-rap. But this has been such a momentous year for rap music, just an absolutely monkey bananas year for rap, that I just figure why not just do that? Why not like just spend some time to study this year? And in particular, this theme. Okay, so people like the graphics department, and I like them too. Skye, he does a great work down there. I feel like I should pay him more, but he does some really great work, and he developed this on back of a piece of recycling with some blue tape, with some blue painter's tape, and that's the theme that I really want. I really want to emphasize balance. And the reason why is that, like, what made this year so great? What made this like the best possible year, in my opinion, as far as I can tell? 89's in contention, 93, 94, 97, 99, 2000. I think they're all in contention for like the best year in rap. But I don't know. Maybe it's because I'm paying this much attention. But it really feels like this is the best year of rap that I can remember. And I think it's because of this balance. And so what I want to do is I want to revisit an old live. Okay, an old live I did 2 years ago, before Drake helped me get my channel so big, before Drake and Kendrick helped get everyone here. I I went to this really complicated theory. I developed this whole complicated theory called the hip hop octants. Okay. I want to address any sort of like super like deals. So UK put out a lot of great music this year. That is true, but I did not pay enough attention to hip hop in UK this year. So maybe I'll correct that in January when there's no music out there. So let's talk about this octant. Okay, so I'm going to share this with you because I'm doing this all on Zoom. I apologize for any sort of trauma you might have from doing too much Zoom, but this was something that I developed with the help of the very same doctor and Mrs. who helped set up this live stream here. And I was trying to figure out like what makes rap so fascinating to me is that, all art forms have, popularity versus integrity. But because it's competitive art, popularity is like a very positive thing. It's not just sort of a incidental thing. It's a part of the culture itself. So I wanted to try to develop some way of thinking about hip hop albums by seeing which of these things do they push forward. So I made this really complicated. I made merch out of this. Would you like to know how many pieces of merch I sold with this image on it? I'll let you think. I'll give you a hint. The number ends in zero. Hmm. Yes, and it begins with zero as well. But this was the whole idea. I was going to do it just a regular thing, and then the doctor and Mrs. She studies science, so she said I had to make it three. So this is the basic idea. Okay, that there's three things. There's the head, which I call smarts and skill. So anyone who's innovative or technically excellent, with their beats or their rhymes, just sort of like quality and or innovation. Okay. The y-axis is the heat. That's like the street and the sales. That's like how profitable is it? How popular is it? Is it sort of like defining the time? Is it of the zeitgeist? Is it, the nowness of it? And in that way, is it mainstream? And then the z-axis, the heart, the social or spiritual, sort of your more conscious aspects, maybe political and or psychological and or emotionally honest. And what I find interesting is that I think most rap albums, will touch on these from time to time, but it's very infrequent that they like all happen at the same time. So I came up with some examples. I really went all out on this. This was fun. This was like 2 years ago. And again, much like with the avant-garde-ometer, this is not like a way of determining what's good or bad. So, Act a Fool by King T is probably my favorite rap album of all time. And that would be in Octant 7 along with 6 9. Okay. It doesn't mean good or bad, but it is interesting. And in particular, this top half here, okay, this sort of top half up here, this is like the popular stuff. This is mainstream. So the top half is mainstream. The bottom half is sort of more underground, right? So all of that is high heat. And very rarely do you have albums that are high heat, high head, meaning smart or well done, and high heart. I think a great example is Kendrick Lamar to Pimp a Butterfly, most of Public Enemy's work. I think those are the best examples where you could sort of have that area. And then the second quadrant is, not particularly smart, but very popular and very filled with heart. And I couldn't think of any examples. I think I came up with that Marky Mark song where he talked about racism, which is a really bad song. I think it's called Wild Side or something like that. But anyways, that's basically a statistical anomaly. You can't really that's really hard to exist, to be super popular and not smart or and have a lot of heart. The third quadrant is your basic Drake album. I made this a couple years ago, but that's perfect for, for all the dogs or all the babies. What's that one called? All the babies. I got a lot of babies. Certified Lover Boy. Um, how could I forget that? But that's just high heat, but not a lot of heart, not a lot of head. Okay. And then you have high heat, a lot of head, but not a lot of heart. And that's like most of Biggie's stuff, right? That's like a lot of Jay-Z stuff as well. Like really smart, really well done, technically proficient, very popular. And then you have basically the same thing echoed in the underground on the second half, right? So that's where you have whatever, Billy Woods, who's, really smart and heartfelt, but isn't particularly hot in the streets and kind of goes through all that. So that was the way that I did it before. And you can watch that video. It's a pretty good video, but you're probably already a little tired of me talking about this. So how do I stop share? Come on, Zoom. How do I stop share? Let's see here. How do I stop? Oh, stop. I hit the button that says stop share. That's how you do it, everybody. So what I did was I went to the graphics department and I said, Skye. I said, yes, Skye. I need you to do something better for these three areas. So what I want you to do is I want you to make little graphics like you do so well. So, you have the heart. And I think every rap album can have that social and spiritual side or not. And it doesn't make it good or bad if it does, but it is interesting. And you can have albums with head that's supposed to be a brain. It's not a bad brain. It doesn't look that much like a testicle. Come on, everybody. Stop saying that in the chat. No one said that in the chat. Someone said, I love how Jid broke into mainstream. Yeah. This is what I'm talking about. I'm talking about this balance we got going, this heat. This is my second attempt at drawing a flame. So that's flame. That's fire back there. That's hot fire. That's spitting hot fire. This is my attempt at drawing. I drew one and it looked like an onion with a butthole. And you don't think that's possible, but it is. So that's what I think when I think of balance is I think this is the year that has an amazing abundance of albums with all these three what I call the first quadrant: high heart, high heat, and high head. And for whatever reason, God damn, I don't know. I mean, I think it was when we decided as a society or as record companies that we want to push forth gangster rap as opposed to conscious rap in the late 80s, early 90s. That's where I see the division line. But for whatever it is, these things have not really been in line. And this is the year, as you will see as I go through my categories, that like there's so much head, heart, and heat. People are reacting, people are caring. The mainstream is changing, it's getting better. And I think it's this balance that started off way in the beginning of the year when Schoolboy Q released this album, which I'll be talking about soon, obviously. And I call it a balanced masterpiece because it's an album that has, it's funny. I was listening to that album 2 days ago, right there in front of the fire. And the doctor and missus was like, just so you know, I really like this album. Like this one, I really enjoy. I like the way it sounds. I like this guy's voice. And today we're listening to it. Pussy, marijuana, hydro, pussy, hoe, ass titties. And she's like, Skye, what are we listening to? It's that same thing. It's that balance that is just absolutely everywhere. So it's just great. I'll take a little second here to read through some comments here. It looks fantastic. The heart kind of looks like a dragon. Oh, the heat looks like a dragon. Yeah, I should have drawn more different S's. Yeah, so let's actually get to giving the stamps. Um, this is the LL Cool J album, which is not going to feature. It's nowhere on my list. This is how good of a year it is. This album rules. If you do not have LL Cool J's, or if you've not listened to The Force, speaking of the balance of The Force, you really should check this out. All produced by Q-Tip. I bought the autographed version, but it's kind of embarrassing because it's like a glamour shoot. What I'm not gonna have a LL Cool J autograph. It's just a good example of the kind of balance because in fact, LL Cool J himself is like bringing himself into balance with this project because he's often been like the lover boy, the pop guy, and this is his most politically active, like black militant album. Seriously, if you haven't heard this, if you just thought, oh, I don't care about LL Cool J, that's what's happening. That's what 2024 is doing. It's making the guy who is the host of the Billboard Awards and the Grammys and the Oscars and the Kids' Choice Awards, making that guy making great militant albums. Yeah, it's just great. And Q-Tip's production's awesome. And that features nowhere in the 20 albums I'm going to be discussing today. Is that anywhere? That's the kind of year that we're having in rap. Albums like Mavi, which I loved, Blady, who I don't know how to categorize, so it's very tough. A lot of people are mad at me for not mentioning Blady. Like there's rap adjacent. It's just unbelievable. And again, I've been doing this since 2018. I've been listening to 3 albums a week. I've been reviewing 3 to 5 albums a week, every week since 2018, with a focus on rap wherever I can. And this year, I've just been swamped, absolutely swamped. All right, so let's go to our first category. This is rap having mainstream. Okay, so these are examples that's usually, with high heat. Okay, and then varying levels of head and heart. Usually the stuff that I like is stuff that has a lot of head. Okay, if it's about having, then it probably doesn't have heart, right? Because I divide it that way because I'm a professor, right? I'm a French professor. And the thing a lot of people don't understand about language is that there's regular verbs and irregular verbs. And it's a pain in the ass because regular verbs are the least common verbs. The more common a verb is, the more it's used. The more it's used, the more our mouths just destroy it and turn it into weirdness. So if you take a word like organize, I organize, you organize, he, she organizes, we organize, you organize, they organize, that word's not going to get messed up. But to have, to be, to do, I do, he does, we do, they, okay, everything gets all mixed up. I am, you are, he is. So those 3 verbs, to have, to be, and to do, are the most important. On a philosophical level, the goal should be doing and being. Our lives should be focused on doing and being and not just on having. But as things get going and as capitalism took absolute hold and jettisoned any sort of socialist instincts that existed in rap back in the day, as it became not just capitalist, but hyper-capitalist, everything became the focus of having. Now, there's two reactions you can have to that. You can say this sucks and I just like the old stuff and I only want to listen to Black Star and I'm never going to listen to Future, which is fine, except then you're missing out on the art because that's the thing is we're talking about the heat. We're talking about the stuff that people are making that is interesting, that is reflecting the culture, right? You can't just ignore it. You have to also follow it. You can't just ignore it. Just, So I wanted to find a way to acknowledge it and like it while also saying like it's sad because the having can be having money, having women, having cars, but it's always about having. And it's like your value through having, not your value through being a good rapper or your value through being a good person. Is this too weird of an angle? It's kind of a weird angle. I feel so like super like I don't know. I guess I'll look in the comments. So here are the choices. So like Future Metro Boomin, we don't trust you. You see in blue, I had a poll on my community page, and I let everyone vote, and that got what 68% of the vote. That got a lot of the vote. It's not going to get my vote, but I did listen to it again this week. I do like it. There's probably too many songs that like I mean, we all basically remember, like that and type shit and a couple other songs like that, but the rest of it's good. It's not amazing. I did really like the Meg Thee Stallion album, um, but it just sort of got lost this year. The Chief Keef, that was my first time really listening to Chief Keef, and I understand it's probably not his best work. But really, this came down to Glorilla and Kanye West, Vultures One. Now, Kanye West, Vultures One is weird because Kanye usually does being and doing albums, but this album is really about having. It's another one of his kind of divorce albums and kind of being lost. And Glorilla, um, I listened to it again. I listened to his, yeah, Glow. That's the thing, right? Yeah, Glow. Like, I get it, right? It doesn't have a ton of head, okay? It doesn't have a ton of heart, but it has a lot of heat. And good Lord, is it a well-written song? So as I choose between these two, I'm going to get my pay shot all set up. A good day of pay shot. See if we have any guesses in the if I'm going to what am I going to do? Wait, which way do I do it? Do it like that. Yeah, it's going to Kanye. I know. I know. How can I give a pay shot to Kanye when he released the worst album of the year? Vultures 2 is unlistenable tripe. It really is. It's really bad. But if nothing else, that proves how good Vultures 1 is. I listened to it again today, and it is just track after track. It's innovative, it's interesting, the features are good, the way he integrates Ty Dolla Sign. I just want you to imagine in your head some kind of world where you forgot everything that Kanye said and did in the past 10 years, okay? Just put yourself back in Yeezus Kanye territory, or put yourself in 10 years in the future where he's finally found his correct meds, where he's aged properly, and he's found the help of a good therapist, and he apologizes for all these terrible things. You're going to go back to Vultures, and you're going to be like, oh my God, we didn't we were saying that beautiful buck naked beautiful big titty buck naked women just don't fall out the sky, was bad. We listened to our esteemed colleague in Connecticut who told us that Hood Rat was a bad song. I am sorry to my esteemed colleague in Connecticut, but Hood Rat is a good song. God. And, you know, he's still the guy. I know he's buried under a pile of unforgivable things that he says and thinks and does. But we're talking about art here, and it is just that good. I didn't buy it as at the Record Archive, and I could have bought it. I don't quite feel comfortable, Um, but I will note that is the first paid shot receiver that is a legitimate independent album. And I don't mean like, oh yeah, I'm an indie artist. I'm signed to a guy who's signed to another guy who's signed to another guy, and they're all signed to Universal. No, like an actual independent artist. So that's pretty cool, right? Doesn't that count for something? So yeah, for those of you who predicted I was going to I was going to give it to Kanye. I did. Someone said glazing. Yeah, I glaze Kanye. I do. I do because he's the greatest living artist. He's just not a very good person. I will say, I think part of the reason that this year is in balance, though, might be because of the fall of Kanye and the fall of Drake. Like they might have been keeping things out of balance. They really might have been. Just their strength and their personality and like how sort of like inward Kanye is, how everything he does is just about him, and just how relentlessly heartless Drake has become. And I don't know. It's quite possible. Okay. Rap, being and doing underground. This is what I'm talking about. Okay. How am I supposed to choose between these albums? Okay. How is it that one of these albums is not going to win? Okay. Now I put Love the Genius on there. Um, that's more of like an aspirational thing. Like I think she might have a truly great album coming out, but I wanted to just put a little bit more shine on her because she's, she's from Buffalo and she's doing a lot of great stuff and she's super smart. Like if you like rap music and you like hip hop and you like lyricists, just period, then you really should check out Love the Genius. Okay. But really it's between these four. But how do I choose? I mean, y'all voted for JPEG Mafia, 59%. Do you understand how strong this category is that an online poll of music nerds that has JPEG Mafia on it, he only won 59% of the vote? That's unheard of. You know, that'd be like going to like, I don't know, an edgelord convention and see like who's the best villain. And like Joker only wins like 54%. It's absolutely wild. Okay, this album, it's just beautiful. It's just beautiful. It's just beautiful. And this, I mean, really, Elucid is right up there with the God Fahim as like the rapper who's next to the rapper who I like more. But this album proved to me what an idiot I was. I'm sorry, not an idiot. What a silly person I was. It's not good to use the word idiot. Um, but like what a silly person I was. And it is just so awesome and it's so avant-garde and it's got tons of heart and tons of head. Okay. Didn't have a lot of heat. Even for underground, I don't quite know why it didn't hit. That's absolutely amazing. I'm not gonna give it to JPEG Mafia. I call this album a masterpiece. It is. That's the kind of year that we're having. That's the kind of year that we're having. And I'm not gonna give it to Lupe Fiasco. And that is probably growing in my head. Like as I am speaking, as I am saying, this is what happens whenever you have to do these kinds of things. Like when you flip, when you want to do something and you flip a coin and like you actually, when the coin is flipping, you figure out what you want. You're just like, "Oh, I just really, but you know what? I'm giving it to Ka. And let me tell you why I'm giving it to Ka. I'm giving it to Ka because you've asked. I'm not gonna lie. Because I have now reviewed what, three, four of his albums. Each time I bought the MP3s, whatever that is, like, and I don't even listen to MP3s. Like I just seriously bought them just to be a good guy and to support somebody. Okay. That's two artists in a row who are legitimately completely independent. All right. It's who's that? That dope shit released a video today all about the economics of independent rap albums. It was quite good. But like it is a normal Ka album. It is an average Ka album, which means it has some of the absolute highest head you can possibly have. Like, it is such a smart album. It is such theologically, philosophically, rhyme-logically, beat-logically. He's doing everything, and he does it at such a high level. And it's not better than Language Arts, but it's as good as Language Arts, and and the heart and the personal aspect, especially this, and where you feel like his struggle with his faith and his struggle with his society and the way those things go together. Sometimes the Oscars will do that. They gave Al Pacino an Oscar for a movie called Scent of a Woman, which was a terrible performance. He was just all hoo-ha and all that, but it was because they didn't give it to him for Godfather 1. Okay, Godfather 1. Have you ever seen Al Pacino in Godfather 1? Just how can silence be so good? So, yeah, it is. I'm giving it to him because he passed and because I won't be able to again. And it's just great. And it's like, wouldn't it be great if just more people did this? What a year. Seriously. Now, interestingly, this is maybe the least interesting category. Rap having underground. So this is an interesting category because usually we associate underground rap with, conscious rap, right? That's how we think of it. Someone said they never watched Godfather. It's really fun. And that's the thing that people lose about Godfather is that it's fun. Like you get so into it that I know, I think I watched it for the first time when I was like 30. So I'm not like some old school Godfather head. And I can now probably quote most of the movie. It's really worth watching just sort of over and over again and just letting it kind of seep into you. It's great. Anyways, so the rap having like what do we do with this underground rap music that doesn't have a lot of heat? By that, I mean not a lot of sales, not a lot of sort of streets stuff, but it's still really good. This is mainly in that kind of underground, invisible Renaissance area, you know? So that West Side Gun album, I liked it. It's not going to win. The Rock Marciano, Marciology. Now, I just reviewed his album with Alchemist today. I think I like Marciology more. Oh, but you know what though? He's going to get the Bismarck. Sorry. He gets the Bismarck for self-producing himself on the Marshallology album. I think he did the best self-production. I know Kado's great self-production as well. I found his beats a little bit less interesting. Like hearing the beats where he produced himself. So the Bismarck uh, goes to Marciano. Oh yes, and the avant-gardeometer of the year. That actually goes to the JPEG Mafia album. So, back to this year. So it's not going to go to Rock Marciano, even though I really enjoyed that. I'm really enjoying him a lot. I watched my review of him today because I think I think I did a good job of explaining why he's so great. And it's not going to go to Conway the Machine, even though the song Muddy is one of my favorite tracks of the year. If you haven't heard it, produced by Conductor Williams, and it's just okay. I was sitting with my 3-month-old today, and I was like, just she was on the bed, and I was like, kind of like playing with her hands and her legs, and I was playing this song. I was going, okay. And when I was doing that, she was like, kind of giggling. It's perfect for that kind of stuff. But it really is, the rich ass Haitian, 176% of the vote. To me, it really is between Hatton Garden Hold Up by Rome Streets, because I will say this until I stop saying it. But Rome Streets is like one of the best MCs out there right now. And I think of like all the underground having rappers, like people, the sort of artisanal crack rappers. I think he's the best. And I think he's just absolutely amazing. Um, but it will surprise absolutely nobody that I'm going with Rich Ass Haitian. Not just because I bought the vinyl and I want to make sure it's worth it, but it the only reason I wouldn't give it. Someone said, "What year is better for hip hop, 2022 or 2024?" 2024. Seriously, I really think it might be the best year for hip hop ever. Just an amazing. Oh, that's a good paint job right there. A good day at paint job. Um, but like it's and it's weird because it's hard for me to even put it in the having category, but realistically, Makami has a sort of more political side, like FYI, and then he has his a little more like stunting side, and this felt a little bit more like that, even just the title, Rich Ass Haitian, but just the production here is great. I would have liked a little more Nicholas Craven in general. The fact that he did not produce The Serpent and the Rainbow still bugs me because that's the name of a Wes Craven movie. And I actually DM'd Nicholas Craven. I was like, that must have really bummed you out. He's like, I didn't think of that. What this is why I think about movies too much. And it's sort of like the Ka thing. It's just like it's not like way better than most of his work, but most of his work is just so good. My main problem is that Sur le Pont d'Avignon, which is probably one of my top three rap songs of the year. I'll discuss my favorite songs of the year on the full Stampys. I might just have changed the angle here. That's a little bit better. Yeah, that's a little better. Oh my God, the fire's out. Yeah, but it's just a wonderful album, and he's keeping it up. And now things are gonna start to fall off the rails because we're gonna get to this category. Already you're seeing a problem here. There's supposed to be five. When I made this list and printed it out in my office, I forgot Denzel Curry and Vince Staples. This category, as I have said, is the category that represents heat, right? Mainstream heat. And if someone makes it here, they probably have a lot of head or a lot of heart. Think about each one of these projects. It is painful that I cannot say, like, in many years, okay, I'm gonna do it. I'm not gonna tell you who wins this. I'm not gonna tell you who wins this because I have to get to my final list, the top 13. Okay. 13 is my favorite number. That's why I picked that. Okay. Professor Skye's top 13 2024. Because let me tell you, you see how there's seven of these here? All of them are in my top 13. And six of them are in my top five. I'll let you just take a little bit of time to figure out what I mean by that. Six albums in this category. Usually, this category, I have to struggle to find anything to put in here. Like usually that's why I'm super happy about all these great female rappers who are in the mainstream because they can often talk about like their experience as a woman and difficulties of patriarchy and stuff like that, and it works out super well. So six of the seven albums on here, Vince Staples, Schoolboy Q, Doechii, Absol, Tyler Creator, Kendrick Lamar, Denzel Curry, are in my top five. So let's go through an overall of the top 13. The graphics department worked super hard. No, number one is not tied, but I'm just saving that because people can probably guess what number one and number two are based on what I've said. Number 13, I'm saying Rome Streets, Haddon Garden Hold Up. Absolutely love this album. Just great from start to finish. Super well produced. Derringer. It's great. 12, I am saying Samurai. In many other years, that would be here. That would be number one. We're already in the place where theoretically any of these could be number one. What a year. Here's where I'm going to put Absol Soulburger. Someone was talking about Jid earlier. God damn, man, crazier. What an amazing song. And the rest of the album, obviously, super personal. Um, and he apparently liked my review. I'm putting Revelator on there as well. Lucid up there, number 10. Number 9, I'm saying The Thief Next to Jesus. I'm not going to say it's the best rap album of the year because it's a great album, but you don't get that this year. Number 8, I'm saying Glorilla. I just wanted to piss off you. Actually, I put these together very quickly. That's the way you have to do these, by the way. You can like really struggle over them to make sure they represent you absolutely positively, but then you're still going to mess it up. So I just do it. So I just did it. I probably put Glorilla behind Cobb, but I really like that Glorilla project. And again, just because it doesn't have a lot of great, maybe I shouldn't use the word head. Sometimes saying head has a sexual connotation, Professor Skye. Then number 7 here, I put JPEG Mafia, Lay Down My Life for You. Absolutely. See, this might actually not even line up to how I did it before, but it's such a great album. Yes, and the Avant-Garde Barometer of the Year, Kanye West, Vultures 1 is number 6. It is just that good. And now we're getting really, really, really complicated. Really complicated. Because we have a three-way tie. Okay. A three-way tie at number five. Vince Staples, Dark Times. Do you understand the level of artistry that Vince Staples is putting out there and that we are largely sleeping on? Because Tyler Creator is great. He's going to be on this list. Kendrick obviously is going to be on this list. Like, we have these artists who are doing these things that are just so good. But any other year, someone comes out with a TV show as good as the Vince Staples show and an album as good as Dark Times, and we are treating them like the second coming of Lauryn Hill. Like, that's how good it is. His laconic voice, his perceptiveness, his personal touch, high head, high heat, high heart. Okay, maybe the heat isn't isn't that hot because I don't know, it just didn't catch on fire. But that's Vince Staples. I'm gonna put Makami up there at number five. Here's my original number five, but but that was when I had forgotten King of the Mischievous South. I have to admit, the second version made this album drop. Like the bonus tracks were like, ooh, man, no thanks. I just listened to them once. So maybe they're better than that. Um let's see. Professor, I love you. I feel like a lot of times you take a contrarian position, then use your academic background to post talk justify your takes. Yeah, okay. You know, that's a very fair criticism that you can make of virtually all academics. I will say that I am a contrarian by nature. Um, all my friends say I'm a contrarian, and I agree with them. That's a logical fallacy. Science can't work. But what I will say is, as I get all like, Who's that YouTuber? Is it Sarah Zed who always has tea? I will say that I do try to say what I actually believe. Like, I do try to say what I actually believe. But when I know what I actually believe might be controversial or might be annoying or contradictory, I sort of play it up, you know? So, anyways, this album is what I'm talking about. This is what I'm talking about with balance. Okay? Because it's filled with the bangers and it's filled with personal thoughts and reflections of his identity, and it's just so good. It's just such a good, it's like such a good rap album. On any other year, this would probably be number one. But it's 2024. So that's the three-way tie. We're now getting in to the top four, which are all going to be on this list. Okay. So we have to choose between GNX, which won with 60% of the vote from the audience, Chromacopia, Alligator Bites Never Heal, and Blue Lips. Truly, truly, from five to one, any of them would be the best rap album of the year. I'm giving number four to Chromacopia. I'm giving number four to Chromacopia. I enjoy that album so much. I really enjoy it the more I listen to it. One of the things that frustrates me the most about my music channel is that I listen to so much music that I don't get to listen to the stuff that I love as much as I would like. And to me, it feels like Chromacopia really sees him, especially with the behind the scenes footage. It's really clear that he is a very excited musician who's just so happy to be making music, not just rapping, but just like he's just like happy, you know? So just what an absolute amazing album. Three, one that I thought would be one from much of the year, Dochi, Alligator Bites Never Heal. I'm scared. I'm scared because she's eventually going to have to release an album, and it's going to be really hard for her to live up to the hype that's built up from this. But this is like the most delicious hype. Like, if she delivers on this hype, it will be she will instantly be in the top of the game because she's already swimming around there. Again, think about what she is doing. Okay. Think about how hot she is right now. Okay. Think about how much she raps about her life and about her socioeconomic position. Okay. Think about how talented she is, how innovative she is, how many different styles she uses. Okay. I'm not saying this is not a for a question. This is not for a rapper, for a female rapper. This is just like all of these things are happening at once, over and over and over and over and over again, which means the album that I have been calling the album of the year all year, it's between this and GNX. And that's the question. That for such a uselessly unimportant question as what some 47-year-old dude in his living room thinks about rap albums. I put a lot of thought into this. Okay, as I get my paycheck out. So I will I'm making my decision. Yeah, I'm confirming my decision. It's gotta be Kendrick. And let me tell you, this is the most any other year, any other year. And this is not because of the beef. This is independent of the beef. I'm not counting Like That and Euphoria in GNX. Okay. This album is an absolute masterpiece, unquestionably. But when I was thinking and putting together this whole idea, I realized that what Kendrick does better than any artist in the history of hip hop is all these things at once. But but like Schoolboy was 7 hot, okay, and was 8 head and was 7 heart, okay, still. But like Kendrick, it was 10, 10, 10, 10. Whoa, see what they did in my eyes? Jesus, what's going on with the lighting here? Look, I'm trying out that Nosferatu movie. He is just 10, 10, 10. And if you're watching my channel, I didn't know that GNX was a masterpiece at first. When I first listened to it, I had to sit with it. And then I reviewed the Lefty Gunplay album. And reviewing the Lefty Gunplay album made me love the Kendrick album even more. Because, like, it's like, okay, so here's a slice of what's happening in LA right now. Like, not what was happening in LA, a while ago. Like what's happening right now. And it's going to win a lot of these greatest albums of the year thing. And part of me wants to be the contrarian, right? And Blue Lips is not a contrarian pick. It's just a great album any other year, right? But when the best is also the most popular, we have to hold on to that and hold it and be really thankful. That's what it was like to be in the 60s. And it was like Hendrix and the Beatles and the Stones were releasing like 4 albums a year between the three of them, and they were all great. And they were all popular and they all sold out. They were all just like at the very, very top and just driving culture and driving society. And I think when we look back at it, when you look back at this insane year, when we think about these my top 16, top 13 albums, I think it's hard. I really think we'll just end up saying, yeah, this was GNX's year, in addition to being Kendrick's year. So yeah. So for those of you who are calling me a contrarian, I think that's a non-contrarian pick. But I do feel bad because I love the Schoolboy Q album so much. But what are we gonna do? Brat GNX. So I think that's what I was planning on doing now. So I guess what I'll do is I'll hang around and like answer questions in the chat, and I will cut this off when I do my final thing. So Yeah. So then in that case, for YouTube, there's the camera.